Hey, and welcome to Byte Guild. I'm Andrew, and I'm going to be bringing you through the process of building a whole bunch of software. I'm building this channel because I think too much of the education in computer science and software engineering is pattern based. That is, we show you how to do something and then you go and do it, maybe make some modifications to it. There's not necessarily this deep exploration of why are we choosing to do it this way? What are the other options? What are the consequences if we don't choose it that way? What does it look like when we make a bad choice and then have to resolve that with a good choice? I think the natural flow of taking the theoretical portions of computer science and software engineering and applying them isn't well taught. I think most people come out of university or boot camps not necessarily having the critical problem solving skills that you find in more senior software engineers. And I don't think it is a lack of experience, it's a lack of exposure. And it's also poor education systems. I'm fortunate enough to have spent years as a professor of computer science, an adjunct professor of computer science, years as a very senior software developer at a whole bunch of tech companies with fancy titles like CTO, VP of Engineering, Director of Technology, Lead Engineer. And I spent many years as a private educator at a large multi-billion-dollar software company, teaching all of the engineers at the company. So I have a couple of opinionated ideas about how software should be taught, about how the practice of software engineering should be experienced. And I'm going to bring you along on a journey as I build a whole bunch of software. And I think that's the best way to see what you don't get to see when you're going through an education program. So if you're interested in software development and learning software development, this should be great for you. You can go in and see what it actually is like to sit down and write code instead of just seeing the end result or seeing a tutorial where somebody really carefully crafted the narrative. You're going to see the whole experience from ideation through delivery, where delivery will be me finishing it and having it up on GitHub for you to explore. And you're going to get to experience the realities of software development, which are changing demands or requirements as you go through and explore the software. You'll see that I make mistakes and we have to go fix those mistakes. I apply a pattern and the pattern probably shouldn't have been applied there, and we have to go back and change it and make decisions around what is a better approach, what should we have done. And you're going to get to see that all in a relatively unedited format. I think it's really important to see the unadulterated, raw reality of software development. Oftentimes we see, somebody lecturing or presenting on a concept, and we see the end result. And that end result looks really cool, beautiful, and they can really talk about the pros and cons of it. Maybe they talk a little bit about the journey, but you don't get to experience that journey. And I think if you're looking to get into computer science or software engineering, or you're looking to up your game in software engineering and computer science, then you need to go through these experiences where you see somebody doing more than just taking a pattern and building that pattern and creating like a toy that they throw away from the pattern, and have a broader understanding developed through seeing something a bit bigger and also hearing somebody talk through the thought processes as they are developing the application. So I will not just be sitting here quietly typing and you'll hear my mechanical keyboard. No, instead I will be talking the entire time. It's a thing I love doing. You're going to notice two things. I like talking and I drink a lot of coffee. That's mostly what you're going to be noticing if you watch this channel to any meaningful degree. So that's it. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the poll that I've sent out to a whole bunch of people to take, which is going to be used to define the text-based game that we are going to be building. When I was a grad school professor, an adjunct professor, the first assignment in the first of the classes in a series of classes that I taught was to build a text-based game. And I'd have the students pitch me their ideas, then generate game design documents from it, and they'd build the game. And there'd be technical review of the game as it was being built, so that they could improve the technical design of it throughout the course of the semester. We're basically going to be doing the same thing, and I'm really excited to show it to you because all my former students are going to watch it and be like, look, he makes the same mistakes we make. And of course I do. Everybody makes mistakes, even people with decades of experience building professional software development, or professional software rather. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the poll I sent out so you get an idea of where we're going with this. And in the next episode, what I'll do is I'll actually write a script to extract the results and give us some random hobbling together of a game that probably won't be fun to play, but will be enjoyable to build. Okay, so what we have here is the poll that I created for people to give me ideas for the game that we're going to build. Probably not a fun game, like I said, but it will be a game. So the first decision is what type of game are we going to build? What type of text game? And I limited the categories here on purpose because I think it'd be very easy to get carried away with things that don't work in a text adventure space. So we start off with kind of classic tropes in text adventure. So the first is, text games. I see I'm jumping the shark. Text adventure, so something like Zork where you're exploring a world, you're encountering a dungeon or something like that. A builder game, so something like Dwarf Fortress where you're managing a world, an economy, strategizing in some way, maybe managing a town. And then turn-based combat, which, oftentimes games will have turn-based combat in them, whether it is, multi-character or individual characters. So in this case, I offered those as options. If I'm going to build a combat system, that's pretty extensive, so it's going to be remaining on its own. And then the other two are relatively independent as well. So then what should the protagonist be? Are you, in Dwarf Fortress, you're dwarves. So are you dwarves? Are you humans? Are you college students? What's going on here? Who should the antagonist be? The environment. What's coming from it? Who's going to be attacking you? Who's going to be perpetuating the cycles of gameplay? What environment are we operating in? This could be anything. It could be a dungeon, a cave, a world, anything. Some type of theme to throw in there, whatever it is. Just kind of add spice, because you're going to need a bunch of spice. Good ideas are not just A plus B equals C. They have lots of random kind of gooey bits added in to make them extra entertaining. Special weapon, just for funsies. What's something cool that you can acquire in this game, whether it's, your dwarves go out and get it and add it to your fortress, or it's you as an adventurer going and finding this thing. And then lastly, if individuals wanted to have a shout out in the video at the end because they participated in this poll, add that in as well. So that's it. It's a really simple poll. And what I'm going to do is next session, go over the results of the poll and also sit down and write our first script that will be taking in the comma separated values from the results and then going ahead and parsing them and randomly selecting them. I probably will not use the first random selection. We'll just keep hitting that button until we get something good, but it should be moderately entertaining. So stick with me, and that's it for the Byte Guild.